Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of my PS2 games collection overview videos. So today we're going to take a look at some samurai stuff. Yeah, a few notable samurai games and a ninja game, just for good measure, because I don't have enough ninja games to do a ninja game section, so we'll just throw it in with the samurai. They're basically the same thing, right? Yeah, okay, not really, but whatever. Anyway, Samurai Stories, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into some epic samurai action. Okay, so anybody who watches my movie videos will know that I'm a huge fan of a good samurai story. I've got a good chunk of the Criterion Collection editions of Akira Kurosawa's films, who's one of the all-time great samurai film directors ever. And yeah, and that love of that genre kind of started with this. Onimusha Warlords, which coincidentally was also one of the very first PS2 games I ever played, and one of the ones that inspired me to get my own. And when I did get my own, this was one of the very first games I bought, and I have cherished it ever since. What a great game. Just really easy to get the hang of the controls. It's got a terrific story. It takes place in, ancient Japan, and you've got a lot of supernatural elements in there as well. Really, really cool stuff. Love this game to death. And I've actually played through it a number of times just because I enjoy the story so much and the beautiful, beautiful environments. It seems to me that they upped the polygon count on the characters quite a bit by not having the environments fully in motion. So the environments are kind of static. I mean, there's things moving, obviously, but it's not like a third-person action or a first-person action where the environment moves when you move. It just stays stationary. But the characters are really detailed, like far more detailed than what you usually see in a game from this era. And that was one of the things that always really struck me about it. So quite a thick manual here, which is interesting because the actual game mechanics really aren't that difficult to get the hang of, and it kind of walks you through it as well. But it's got a lot of hack and slash action, as you would expect. You get some supernatural abilities. You can pick up different swords and upgrade different swords that have different magical abilities. You're fighting demons and creatures and all kinds of stuff. There's a power-up system, so there's levels that you can just kind of grind to beef up your powers and stuff like that. And yeah, it's great. Really, really good time. So it kind of incorporates some RPG elements, incorporates a lot of puzzle-solving elements. You got the old, all the fighting controls. And you can button mash your way through it if you want to, or you can get a little more fancy with some of the fancy moves and stuff like that. It's entirely up to you. And that's one of the things I really like about it, is it lets you play however you want. And enjoy this wonderful story. And there's some cool unlockable features as well. For example, after you finish the game for the first time, you can play it again by having the main character, this badass samurai, in a panda suit. I kid you not. You can put him into a giant panda suit. And there you go. Just one of those weird, kooky things that they decided to throw in just because. Now, Onimusha was hugely successful. Very, very popular. So much so that we got a sequel almost immediately. Now, interestingly enough, this sequel does not feature the main character of the first one, Samanosuke. It's a completely different character, Jubei. And yeah, so this is Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny. However, it is part of the same story. There are references to the other game. Now, this one takes on some more heavily the RPG elements. There's a lot more stuff where you have to talk to characters and bring certain items to certain characters and things like that. There's a lot more of putting together a party and having a variety of characters that you take with you, whereas the previous one is more just kind of a solo effort. But pretty cool, definitely. I still haven't actually finished this one, to be honest. I've played I played it for a good while, but I just never got around to finishing it. I don't know. I guess it just didn't grab me as much as the first one. The first one is a lot more linear as well. Maybe that's something to do with it. When it's linear, it's a lot easier to kind of just grind your way through. Whereas when it's open world, it takes a little more effort, and I'm lazy. That said, I will play these through to completion eventually. Maybe I'll do a Twitch session. Who knows? And we'll just do the whole dang trilogy. Trilogy, you say? Yes, trilogy. Because there's also a third one. There's actually also a fourth one called Onimusha 4, Dawn of Dreams. However, I don't have that one, sadly. And there was one other one. I forget what it was called now. But anyway, it was basically a fighting game. It wasn't really any plot to it. You're not missing anything, really, by missing out on that one. But yeah, so that said, 1, 2, and 3 do form a cohesive story and are a nice conclusion. And yes, that is Jean Reno, by the way. Jean Reno is a huge megastar in Japan, apparently. So they approached him about using his likeness in this, and they did. Now, he does do his own voice acting when his character is speaking French. However, when he's speaking English, they got some other guy to do the voice. I've never understood why, because he speaks excellent English and has an awesome accent when he does so. So it would have been great to have him actually do the English voice, but I don't know. Maybe he was only available for a very, very limited time. I can imagine he wasn't cheap. But yeah, so this is Onimusha 3 Demon Siege, and we actually do find out finally what happened to Samanosuke from the first one. So we actually get the rest of his story. Now this one goes back to being more or less solo adventures. The only difference being you kind of alternate between your character, Samanosuke, and Jean Reno's character. He plays like a cop who gets hurtled back through time. But pretty cool. And the one big difference between this and the other two is gone are the static environments. Now the environments are full 3D. And I don't know what they did, but the detail on the characters really doesn't seem to have suffered for it. So they really did a nice job. This is a very, very good looking game, I have to say. All three of them are, really. It's just a beautiful, beautiful game. Then next up, sort of the other big notable samurai game on the PS2, we have Genji, Dawn of the Samurai. Now, if you liked Onimusha, you will love Genji, because it's very much of the same ilk. Now, this one was a Sony exclusive series, but really enjoyed this one a lot. Now, once again, this is more party-based. You get, I believe, 3 characters that you kind of alternate between. Each one has their own strengths and weaknesses, and can help you get through certain situations better than others. And I mean, there's some areas that you can't get through unless you go through as one of the other characters. So I actually really enjoyed this a lot. I had a lot of fun with this. To me, as I say, it was very reminiscent of Onimusha, but in a good way, not in a rip-off way. And yeah, I guess the strategy guide there. But yeah, so I played this pretty heavily when I first picked it up. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, beautiful full-color manual there. Once again, the combat system is pretty easy to get the hang of, not overly complicated there. I don't know that you can sort of button mash your way through, as it were. I mean, you do have to have a bit of skill. But yeah, it had a really good story, and great power-up system, and very likable characters, and just generally a lot of fun. Just a good old-fashioned samurai story. And once again, as all of these seem to be, there are some evil supernatural forces at work there as well that you need to defeat. Now, one of the reasons I picked this up was because... Whoops. Let's move that. There's a sequel on the PS3. Yes, we have Genji Days of the Blade. So I wanted to play the first one before I played the second one. I still have not played the second one, actually. I played a demo of it a little while ago just to try it out. And I liked it because, to me, it was very, very much in spirit with the original. Everyone who watched you play the demo was like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't look very good. It's like, oh, shut up. You haven't played the first one. You don't know what you're talking about. This is going to be awesome. So, anyway, definitely looking forward to playing this one. Just got to find the time. But, yeah, we'll probably talk about this a little bit more in the PS3 section. Now, last but most certainly not least, we have Shinobi, which is the modernized and hard as hell updated version of the classic ninja character who has been on many a console game and arcade game over the years. In fact, in one of the previous videos, I talked about my arcade and Genesis compilations, and a couple of the games on there are Shadow Dancer and Revenge of Shinobi, or sorry, Shinobi 3, Revenge of Shinobi, which is very much what inspired this game. So this is a third-person actioner based on those classic arcade games of yesteryear. And funny enough, still haven't got around to playing this. Yeah, this is the problem with having so many games. Often you find you've got stuff on your shelf that you just keep on not playing. Eventually I will, and sadly no instructions this time. No gorgeous instruction book. Oh well, that's okay. It's just cool to have the game. But yeah, good stuff. Gotta love some classic ninja action. Yarg. There we go. Well, actually, let's put this one. Funny enough, with the PS3 one aligned at the bottom, the titles almost perfectly line up for the two Genji games. Look at that. How cool is that? Done. Alright. Need to go pick up the little one. So there you go. Some pretty cool stuff. Definitely enjoy. Ta-da! There we go. The Onimusha Saga, the Genji Saga, and Shinobi. Awesome. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank my Patreon sponsors. Thanks, Patreon sponsors. Especially thanks to Kyle Pellegrini. Yes. Sorry, Kyle. Kyle Pellegrini, who's still one of my highest level sponsors. Really appreciate the support, dude. And yeah, so please do consider becoming a sponsor. No amount is too big, no amount is too small. Every little bit helps. Helps me to buy more cool stuff like this and do more cool videos like this on a more regular basis. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.